Hi folks, Sandy. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Welcome to this week's Kendo RANT. Shop at KendoStar, because that's what keeps these videos coming, and don't skip that bit. Seriously though, KendoStar is the website that I run, a course that pays for this channel. Make sure that it keeps coming. I know at the minute, of course, you know, most of the world is on some kind of lockdown. We certainly are here in the UK. And Kendo isn't, and Kendo equipment isn't at the forefront of everybody's mind right now. But you know, we're soldiering through. So support us and shop at KendoStar.com. You know, even if you don't need Shinai or Borga right now. I mean, you always need Borga, right? Like new Borga. But even if you don't need stuff like that, we've got stuff like these awesome tenagui and stuff that you can buy just to support the channel, if nothing else. There's a link in the description down below. So yeah. Help us out. It's not been an easy few months, 12 months. Right, let's get into these questions. It made me wonder, how do I know a men fits me properly? It's neither too big nor too short. How long should the ago be? Should the uchiwa be tightly fit on my chin? Should the men kawakazari fully cover my head, or should part of it be uncovered? How long the mendari should be in relation to my shoulders are the more aspects that I should consider when evaluating the proper fit of the men. Okay, so I've got a men here to talk about this. This is my beautiful Victory men. Love this Victory. It's well cool. And yeah, okay, so the ago is this part, sometimes called the skidare, this part. It's not decided how long that should be. It doesn't, you know, they're generally a standard size, except on like children's Borga when it's a little bit smaller. But they're generally not, they don't generally make them bigger. You don't need them to. The size of the target area is pretty much the same always, and it's perfectly adequate to protect you. So, you know, they're generally all about the same size, so you don't need to worry about that. The uchiwa should indeed sort of, you should be able to put your head inside the men. You should be able to put your head inside the men with your chin being able to touch the bottom of the face padding here. There's a chin pad there. These are called the tenchi, the one that goes on your forehead and on your chin is called the tenchi. Your chin should go against the chi there, and your forehead should touch against the ten at the top. And there shouldn't be space above your head, right? If I put this one on, I'm not sure if you can still hear me. This is brand new. I haven't really even had a chance to use it. Okay, so it's reasonably snug now. Like I say, my forehead touches against the padding at the top. If it doesn't touch the padding at the top, if I can't get it like that, and there's a space, then it doesn't fit. Okay, it's too small. And if it moves around too much on your head, it can move a little bit, and as you can see, I can talk still with it on. If it moves around too much once it's on your head, then of course it's too big. Okay, so there's that to consider. About the kawakazari. Now the kawakazari is a bit of a it's the bit that normally describes this futon hari here, the bit. Now, it's a bit hard to see on this one because it's a full orizashi futon, but this is often referred to as the kawakazi because it originally would have been made of leather. Kawa means leather, by the way. I think what you mean is the futon itself. Excuse me. And again, for most sizes, this is generally a similar sort of width. It doesn't matter if your head comes out the back a little bit. In fact, a recent fashion in Japan is some people have this custom made where this is very, very short, so that the back of the head is out of the men quite a bit. There's this sort of misnomer that like it has to be fully inside the men. That's not necessarily true. Obviously, everyone's head shape is a bit different. And if you have something that's custom made and you have a particularly large head shape, we do ask for that measurement. And we will adjust the width of the futon so it sits. Ideally, it should sort of come to about the level of the back of your head. But I've got quite a small head, for example, so mine sits in quite deep, and it kind of wraps around quite a lot. whereas other people it doesn't do that so much. But it's not a big thing either way. It's not a massive thing. That depends on, you know, each person individually. In terms of the length of the mendai is the wings here. They should come to about your shoulder level. You don't want them out too far. The old days, it used to be popular to have them really, really long, and they were kind of flapping out to the side, but they kind of get in the way of your arms. At the same time, though, you don't want it too short where it's like, unless you do like Jodan or Nito, then sometimes people prefer shorter then because they have their arms over their head. But if you do Chudan all the time, and you have like some kids in Japan, they often have them made really, really short, so they're actually almost level with the ago. Like this, it looks really kind of stupid, and it's the All Japan Kendo Federation doesn't like it so much either, and they're starting to regulate against that as well. So you can't go too short with it. But you know, if you order a men from KendoStar, for example, you know, if you provide all the measurements we ask for, then we'll make sure that we send one that fits you perfectly, because we can do that from the measurements that you provide. Next one, Kendo seems slow to adopt sports science compared to other competitive Budo. Judo and Karate are examples that embrace the new while keeping the old. Any idea why Kendo is the way it is, or is it just that way at the amateur level while the elites have it embraced? I'm not sure it really does. I'm not sure it is super slow to adopt to sports science. I think there's quite a lot of sports science involved in Kendo, actually. Some of the best players in the world come from sports science backgrounds, sports science universities, for example. So yeah, I mean, obviously there aren't many professional kendoka, but I'm pretty sure that those ones that are very involved with sort of sports science and what have you. So yeah, I think maybe it's just that at sort of national, sort of amateur club level, yeah, it's not something we'd necessarily do much with. Next one, question about Kirikaishi. I've seen many different variations with various different styles of footwork, from striking with the front step, striking as you bring up the back foot, or more of a hop. I was wondering what the proper way to do footwork, or are they interchangeable? Thanks. No, they're not interchangeable. You should do suriashi with. I assume you're talking about the diagonal strikes, and if anything, it should be timed with the left foot coming up, but you kind of, they should go almost together. It's not a hop though. You shouldn't be jumping up and down doing this Kirikaishi. That's wrong. You see a lot of sort of low to mid-level dan people do that, like second, third dan. They often do that because they think they're doing it really fast, but they're doing it totally wrong. So yeah, your head shouldn't bob up and down. It's the same as when you do suburi. It should all be kentai no ichi. If you watch the videos I've done, Zero to Shodan, about Kirikaishi, that's the way to do it. And there are variations of Kirikaishi, but not in that respect. Next one. Andy, do you think the national federations will make Shodan Shinsa online? Or will they prefer to wait until the pandemic is gone for new examinations? Yeah, they're not going to do Shinsa online. Shinsa is the grading, by the way. Shodan Shinsa is grading. I don't think it's going to happen online. Gradings will start again when Kendo can start again in larger groups, like it has in Japan. They're doing gradings in Japan now, and have done for like months. So hopefully the rest of us can get to a stage where we can do it as well. Next one, Helen says, I was watching some police team tournaments and noticed surprisingly that their teams are formed by 7 kenshi. Is there a specific reason for that? And what's the name of the other 2 members? Taisho Special, I hope. Thank you. Okay, so the standard format of Team Shiai is to have 5 players, right? You normally have your senpo, the first player, jiho, chuken, fukusho, taisho. Okay, that's the normal format, but it's not the only format you can do. There's sometimes teams of 3 players, and then you just have the senpo, chuken, taisho, for example. Sometimes they have 7 players, as they do in the police championships. And there's other tournaments as well where they have 7 players. And there's even other tournaments where they have other numbers of teams, up to sort of 40 or 50 people on each team. So yeah, it's not specific to that tournament. In regards to the names of the players, then it stays the same, except obviously there's 2 extra players. And the way it goes is you have, let me get this right, you basically have Senpo, Jiho, that's the next player, it's the same. And then this one is Gosho, okay? So it's kind of player number 5 in a way. Chuken, because they're in the middle. Sansho. Fukusho, Taisho. Okay, they're the names for when there's 7. Okay, so you still have the same as when there's 5, but you also have Gosho, which is the one that comes between Jiho and Chuken, the number. It's backwards in a way because they're the 5th from the end, as opposed to 3rd from the start, right? And then the same with after Chuken, you get Sansho, who's 3rd from the end. In a way. That's kind of how it's named. Yeah. Okay, next one. Hi Andy, what are the little rosettes Shimpan wear in Japan? Are they just to illustrate that they're Shimpan? Why a rosette? And why are they not worn in the UK and I assume other countries? Also, does Shimpan get given them by the event organisers, or do they have to buy their own that they keep safe in a little box in between events? So yeah, often in Japan the Shimpan are wearing a rosette. Sometimes it's not a rosette. Sometimes it's like just a ribbon on a pin, and the reason for that is because I don't know why this isn't the case everywhere, but in Japan anyway, shiai, the referees aren't the only people that are wearing suits. There's lots of people wearing suits at shiai in Japan. Other coaches or kantoku is a like team coach, manager person, they would usually wear a suit, and so would even like the people connected to the taikai, and then of course even the players would often wear, like especially like a university shiai actually, but like at the All Japan Championships or something like that. Now a regular like local tournament, then the players probably won't show up wearing a suit unless they are like police officers, in which case they still might not. That depends. But like at the All Japan Championships, for example, most of the players turn up wearing suits. It's kind of normal. So there's people in suits everywhere. So wearing and then obviously in the tournament arena, there's places that are specifically for the Shimpan, like where they can go and have a rest or get something to eat or something, where they're looked after. So that rosette essentially signals that they're the Shimpan, and it makes it easy for everyone to know that that's what they're there for and that they can come and go as and when they please. And the reason we don't wear them in the UK, for example, is because not many people wear the suits at the shiai. It's quite easy to tell who's a Shimpan. And usually the event provides them. At least that's what they've done when I've done it. And you have to give them back afterwards. I didn't get to keep any of them. Next one. Hi, Andy. When standing in Kamae, I was taught to keep the left leg completely straight. But I remember watching somewhere on YouTube that says that you keep the left leg a little bent to allow for a more natural stance. What's your opinion on this? Completely straight is not correct. Yeah, you're not going to be able to properly carry your weight, and you're not going to be able to launch yourself forward properly if your leg is completely locked straight. So your leg shouldn't be straight. Your left leg should be slightly bent. I think I talk about this in the Zero Shodan series, so definitely check that out. But yeah, it doesn't want to be perfectly straight. It doesn't want to be locked straight. It wants to have a little bend in it so that you've got a little bit of sort of energy sort of pushing you forward in a way. Next one. How important was mitori-geiko before the internet? Perhaps even before VHS was a thing. Nowadays we have all kinds of resources that we gather and learn from. But what option did the people have before that, other than attending shiai keiko sessions in person? Were people stuck in their own kendo bubble within the dojo? Well, obviously, I don't really know what it was like before VHS was a thing. I'm not that old. I've been doing Kendo that long. Um, but when I first started out in Kendo, like we had the internet, but YouTube wasn't really a thing. Watching Kendo on YouTube wasn't a thing. Mitori-geiko was vitally important, especially for people outside of Japan. Now in Japan, people get away with not doing as much mitori-geiko as people outside of Japan do because they're exposed to Kendo in such a sort of more saturated level. Even in their dojo, they've got senpai and they're surrounded by people who are better than them that they can sort of learn through osmosis from, which we just don't have. And if they go to a shiai every week when they're kids, and there's like really amazing players there, and they watch it right in front of their face every week, it kind of replaces that need in a way for watching the videos. Now the really good players still watch the videos. Having said that, now I'd say that doing the Mitori-geiko though, even before the internet at least, 100% just as important. And the fact that probably before VHS was a thing, it was of course just as important, but obviously a lot more difficult. Now, like I say, I didn't have, when I was first starting out, YouTube wasn't a thing. I didn't get to do Mitori-geiko on YouTube. I had to either resort to VHS. My first Mitori-geiko was on VHS, and then a little bit later DVDs, when you could get DVDs from the All Japan Kendo Federation. I recorded my own VHS at the World Championships when it was held in the UK. I used that a lot. I've recorded my own Keiko as well with a VHS video camera. It's about that big. And I use that to compare against the videos that I was watching. I think people were stuck in their own Kendo bubble, and people still are, because Mitori-geiko is definitely the most under-practiced aspect of Kendo. I've done videos about how to effectively do Mitori-geiko. It's not a case of just watching and go, oh wow, that was cool. Oh yeah, wow. Oh, his knee so strong. His knee so fast. That isn't what Mitori-geiko is. That's just watching for entertainment, not for actual improvement. Mitori-geiko is vital, and it's as vital as it's ever been. Hi Andy, I have a question that's also like a bit of like a little rant, and I know it's a bit silly, but here it goes. What do you think of people calling a shinai a kendo stick? I know that technically it is a stick, but I can't help thinking it sounds really dismissive, even though if the shinai is not a direct substitute for a sword. I mean, Olympic fencing weapons don't look a lot like actual swords, but are also not used like real swords, and don't see anyone calling them sticks or anything like that. Am I being too cranky about it? It depends. If it's someone that doesn't do Kendo, and isn't interested in Kendo, then there's not a lot you can do about it. I guess it doesn't matter. It's a bit like saying a golf stick or a cricket stick. Cricket's a game that we have in England, by the way, if you're like from America or something. It's like, I'm not going to comment on it. It's popular. Or like, it's like that. Or like, like a pool stick or something. It's not correct, but it's not worth getting annoyed at. Unless it's a Kendo practitioner. Like if it's a Kendo person saying, oh, right, okay, I need to get some new Kendo sticks, then unless they're doing it obviously in jest, then yeah, that's cringe. But if it's someone from outside of the Kendo community, then let it go. Next one. Hi Andy, this is a question for adults. Ooh. I'm not sure I'm qualified to answer. I have heard a few people really enjoy a cold beer after Keiko. What benefits does having a cold beer after hard practice have? Any scientific, physical or societal benefits? Cheers. I'm actually not qualified to answer this. And that's I'm going to make an admission now. I'm not a beer drinker. I'm not partial for beer after Keiko, or any time actually. I don't drink beer at all. It's not that I don't drink alcohol, because I'm partial to the occasional tipple, but I've never got into the beer drinking thing. Something I was ridiculed a lot for whilst I was in Japan, I must say. Everyone expected me to be big on it, but I'm just not. So can't help with that one, I'm afraid. Next one, I noticed in the video you shared recently with Yuya Takenouchi that it seemed there was a lot of aggressive fast striking where the opponent was smacking and striking the opponent's shinai out of the way with their own shinai. Seems like something done to create an opening, break the opponent's chudan or kamae, break the opponent's semi, or just to break the opponent's focus. Is this approach technique looked upon favourably or not favourably? Or not an issue? Yeah, it's just called harai, basically. Harai is to strike or slap the shinai. It's fair game. It's not particularly thought of as favourable or unfavourable. It's part of the back and forth of a shiai, and of kendo in general actually. And it's fair game. It's perfectly it's perfectly fair. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing unfair or rough or anything like that. It's just part of it, part and parcel of it. Next one. Last year you made a very interesting video about the portrayal of women in the Kendo media. Yes, I did. Given recent remarks made by the former chief of the Tokyo Olympic Organizing Committee, do we have to talk about this? That resulted in his resignation and subsequent press reports of Japan's Liberal Democratic Party allowing women to attend board meetings, provided that they do not say anything. Such attitudes afford a more reasonable explanation for why we have yet to see female 8th dan. Oh, okay. So, yeah, all right, that was news about the guy. It's the former Prime Minister Mori, right? He said loads of crazy, kooky stuff over the years, right? The guy, I don't know how he got that position, but I'm not that big on Japanese politics or any politics, to be honest. But, like, the dude's known for saying stuff that's, like, not quite all there. So, you know, it's definitely a stupid thing that he said about that. I don't even know the full quote of it. As soon as I saw it was that guy, I just dismissed it. But, yeah, it's true that attitudes toward, as I discussed in that video with Miyuki when we did the video about representation of women in Kendo media, it is true that attitudes towards gender in Japanese culture and society are different to how they are in the West, in Europe certainly. That being said, like, it's not that everyone in Japan's a massive sexist. Like, it just isn't like that, and especially in Kendo, it's just not. It's not like that bad. There are issues. There's definite issues, without a doubt. There is, right? But it's not that they're like, oh, we're not having any women in here, sort of thing. It's just not like that, for the most part. I'm sure there's places that are like that, but they're like that about foreigners as well. There's people that are like that about foreigners as well, I should say. But most people aren't. Most people that do Kendo are really nice people. So yeah, I don't think that sort of thing is the main reason that we don't have female 8th dan. We don't have female 8th dan, and my honest opinion as to why we currently don't have female 8th dan is that just the concept of women doing Kendo is a relatively new concept in Kendo as a whole. When I say women doing Kendo, I mean like doing it at the elite level, the level where you have to be at to get through 8th dan. And by that I mean like where you've got professional women Kendo players. In that I mean like police officers or school teachers. That's relatively new, because like I say, yeah, Japan as a society is different in terms of its approach to gender equality, but it is changing. It's changing rapidly as well. So I just don't think there's been enough time yet for those elite women to get to the level where they're going to get 8th dan. Now, having said that, I think it's honestly right around the corner, because the first generation of those women that have been the sort of elite professional level players are now coming to the point in their career where they're about to challenge at 8th dan, and that's why I think we're really going to see it soon, probably sort of in the next year or two. It absolutely wouldn't surprise me. I don't think it's like obviously there is a sort of systematic sexism involved, because that's why the concept of women playing at the elite level is a relatively new thing. But I don't think that the Kendo Renmei in Japan is like sort of conspiring to keep women out of becoming 8th dan. I don't see that, right? I don't see that. They for the most part, they don't have, there isn't a sort of negative attitude towards women doing Kendo. I don't see or experience that, in my time. Now, I could be wrong, of course, but I don't think, and I'd really sort of really say that what that guy said from the Olympics committee, that doesn't represent the view of all of the Japanese people. Definitely not. I think he embarrassed a lot of people. But there's people from all sorts of countries that say stupid stuff, right? How many iterations do you tend to go through with a new boga design? And what is the process like? Would be interesting to hear high and low emotional moments you have experienced during the creative process. So I did a video how I design a Kendo boga set. You should definitely go and watch it. Just search on the channel like KendoStar design boga or something. It's when we made the design of the special edition Vanguard, and I did it live. Basically, I recorded the process, and you'll find that, like I said in it, really, I don't go through many iterations. In fact, I just sit down and I draw it out, because I've already come to most of the conclusions in my head before I even sit down at the keyboard. I'm at a stage in my career now, I've been doing this a long time, and I know what works and I know what doesn't, and I've got a good feel for what will conceptually turn out to be a good product before I even set out a sort of design sheet. And then what will generally happen then, if we make any changes, there'll be tiny little changes, like the recent hakama that we released, the Kachi Dogi and Hakama. Brilliant product. I didn't design that entirely on my own. I did largely, but I got the I have a team of people I consult with as well in Japan, and some of them are my business partners over there. We also talk with Kendo over there, police officers, stuff like that. We've got a very good relationship with some of the top elite level players, that play on the police circuit and stuff. That's how we sort of design the Victory Bug set, for example. But the Kachi Hakama, for example, we got the first prototypes of them. Loved the product and everything, but I wasn't sold on the colour of the fabric, so I had to have it remade. We had to find a new fabric, and I had to have it all remade in a new fabric before we started to properly produce it in full. That's the sort of extent of changes that happen. But if you watch that video of me designing the boga, you'll see that I'm at the stage now where the idea is already here. It's already in here before I kind of throw it out onto the computer. So yeah. Hi Andy, thanks for the great content. Thank you for watching it. I have a couple of questions. First off, we've got loads of questions today, by the way. Thanks for sticking with me. I have a couple of questions. First off, striking the right side of the door and passing through is actually a strike. And second, do you have any advice on improving short strikes? Thanks for all the work you put in. It's really helped the small group grow. Good. So when you say striking the right side, we normally strike the right side. But when we say the right side, we mean the opponent's right side. So I'm assuming from your question, you mean the left side, which is the opponent's left side. It is possible to strike it and pass through going forward, but it's a very, very niche waza that's quite advanced. I wouldn't worry about it. If you want to strike that side of the door, I'd follow the example that I put out on the video about striking gyakudo recently. It's only a short video. Go and watch that and do it that way and you won't go wrong. All right? About short strikes, I assume you mean like small strikes without swinging the shinai in a big arc. Yeah, the tips are keep the point of the shinai towards the opponent. Don't pull it back with the right hand. Push with the left hand. Push the tip of the shinai forward, slightly above the opponent's head, and then down onto it for your strike. I go into more detail on it with small strikes in the 0 to Shodan series. So definitely go and check that out as well. And yeah, practice. That's the only other way. Next one. Hi Andy, do you practice iaido? No. That was an easy one. I don't have eyes for anyone but Kendo. I am proud of it, but I'm not proud of it. But today during practice for our Q exam, I lost my temper and struck the shinai on the floor, and I immediately regretted it. I was harshly reprimanded by the sensei. The reason for my bad and not excusable behaviour lies in the fact that I was paired with a total beginner and he couldn't keep up with me. He made mistakes and made the whole practice troublesome for me. I could not even concentrate on what I was doing. I couldn't practice my best swings, I couldn't practice proper Kirikaishi, and I was constantly frustrated. I said already my behaviour is inexcusable. However, whatever I say, I can't change the fact I struck the shinai on the floor and disrespected my sensei and my fellow kendoka. But my question is, how do you deal with someone who's paired with you during practice that just drags you down, especially when you need to be at your best? Yeah. Okay. I understand. All right, I understand. It's frustrating. It is. It is frustrating. And it's difficult to deal with. But you have to... It's part of the challenge that Kendo provides for you. So you have to try and remain composed, keep calm, and remember that you were there once as well, all right? It's not like you've never been a bad motodachi for someone. Everybody has at some point, all right? And if you haven't been yet, you will be at some point, okay? So, you know, it's not like the other person was purposely trying to spoil your practice or disrupt your practice. So you have to try and relax a little bit. It's hard. It's frustrating, especially when you're trying to do your best. I get it. I do. But don't worry too much, all right? Don't worry too much. It's, you know, it's not the end of the world if you don't manage to do it. All right? And especially even at a grading, you know, a grading panel will realise it's the partner that's doing it wrong. Yeah? They'll realise that. So, calm. You'll be fine. Next one, completely unrelated to almost everything else. How do you find that Secret Labs chair? I've been thinking of picking one up, but this one, yeah, it's cool. It's expensive for a chair, but I like it. Yeah, it's comfortable. Yeah, chair, innit? During my recent Shodan exam, I saw a couple of junior high school saying Bukatsu. Bukatsu is a school kendo club, by the way. Using only one hand when doing menuchi. Is that common practice? They passed, so I assume that it's acceptable. That it's accepted. Just wondering why is the purpose of this technique, if any? Striking men with one hand? No, that's wrong. They're not supposed to do that. So I don't know what was going on. Hard for me to say as I didn't see it, but you should use both hands when you strike men. You said it was junior high school, so it's not that they're doing Jodan, because Jodan's not allowed at junior high school. So, yeah. If you're doing Jodan, then there's one-handed strikes from Jodan, but... yeah. I mean, there are one-handed strikes. There are one-handed strikes even from Chudan, but not ones you want to whip out in your Shodan exam. Okay, we're nearly there. Kamae stances. Chudan no Kamae starts all the other stances. Jodan being offensive stance, Gedan being a defensive stance. The last two stances, Hasso and Wakigamae, I can't recall being used in Shiai. I understand that videos don't cover every match in Shiai, but in even invitational matches, I haven't observed their use. With most Kendoka having Kendo evolve into their Kendo, it's a toss-up that I will see Chudan or Jodan for a match. I do recall seeing an 8-dan using Gedan during the last 8-dan invitational Shiai. Do you think that with the lesser used stances, obscurity, they faded into a memory or just a page in the instruction manual? It's not that. It's just that they're not very good. All right? Hasso no Kamae, Wakigamae, then they're not very good. So, yeah. That's why you don't see them. They're just not good Kamae for Kendo. We have them in Kendo as part of the kata. Kata is there to teach us some more difficult sort of elements of Kendo, but also to maintain tradition. and that's partly why that they exist in the kata. But yeah, I've seen one shiai with an 8th dan he did Hustle no Kamae against Nito. That was a pretty awesome video. I posted it on the blog actually. I'll try and post it again soon because it's a pretty awesome one. It gets kind of heated. Like it was at the Kyoto Enbu Taikai where they don't have the same shiai rules, so like I think he starts like grabbing the blade and stabbing and stuff like that. It's kind of funny, but that's like different, right? It's not normal. It's not normal everyday stuff, right? So yeah, the reason we don't see Hasso and Waki is they're just not good Kamae. Not sure if I made the cut, but yes, you did. But I noticed that some shinai have round grips and others have oval grips. Any advantage or disadvantage of using one over the other? I have an oval grip shinai. Should my tenuchi be the same as using a bokuto? Thank you for the amazing work you do in the community. Thank you very much. So yeah, so most shinai have a round grip like this one. Most have a round grip. I usually use round grip ones because I just like them. But some also have oval grips like this one. Yeah. This is short Suburi shinai. But the advantages of using an oval grip shinai is that it helps you maintain the correct hasuji. In other words, making sure that your grip is correct on the shinai. Because it's harder to hold it sort of like that, isn't it? If it's oval, it's less comfortable. It sits in your hand a little bit better. So especially in the beginning stages of kendo, oval grips are very, very good. But certainly not only for that though. There's many very accomplished kendo who prefer oval grips. But it helps you grip the shinai properly, and it helps you maintain the correct hasuji, the cutting direction of the shinai. Okay. In terms of your tenuchi though, no, the tenuchi should be the same as when you use a shinai, not the same as when you use a bokuto. Just because it's oval grip, you don't use it the same as you do with a bokuto. Okay, you could hurt someone. All right. So just in case anyone's wondering what that's about, last week we talked about the difference between the tenuchi and the shinai, which is more like I'm talking about when you actually strike, by the way. But normally you would strike men like this, men like that. But with a bokuto, you kind of pull and stop this way, all right? Which you don't do with the shinai, all right? You need that sae, pam, pam, pam. Bokuto, this way. Shinai, pam, like that, okay? And even if it's an oval grip shinai, pam, this way, okay? Last one. Hi Andy, when returning to the dojo trainings, do you think it's okay to use a suburi bokken heavier to do suburi instead of shinai? How should I approach this with sensei? So yes, I do think it's fine. Be careful though, and if you start to get any pains in your elbows or wrists when doing it because you're not used to it, just take it easy on it. And in terms of approaching the sensei, go to the sensei before class and say, Sensei, for suburi, do you mind if I use my suburi bokuto? And if they say, yeah, that's fine, then use it. And if they say, no, I think you should stick with the shinai, then put it away and use the shinai and just use it at home. And then give it a few weeks and then say, Sensei, I really like to use it. Could I do it today, please? And then if he says, maybe, okay, then you can. And if he says, no, I still don't think you're ready, then wait another 6 months before asking again. That's it. Thank you for joining today. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the Kendo bell. Go and buy a Taniguri from KendoStar. We've got some great ones. This one says Kanao. Did I say that at the start? It says Kanao. I can get it right. It means to come true, like a dream would come true. I think it's really awesome. Kind of, oh, it says Kanao Kano ni suru as well on the side. Means it means, I've got it back to front. It means make impossible things possible. We've got loads of cool designs. It's original to KendoStar. We've got bogu, shinai, uniforms, suburi bokken, loads of cool stuff. Best place in the world. Go and shop there. See you next time. Bye-bye.